If you will, Paul, tell us about the Icebox Network and how it came to be.
Absolutely. So the Icebox Network is what is known as a place-based digital out-of-home network. How it came to be is actually a very long and interesting story. I actually launched DigiPoint Media in January of 2020, which, as it turns out, 4 months after I launched was probably the worst time in the history of the world to bootstrap a company. So the first few years were interesting, to say the least.
All right.
Um, yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, for everyone, thank you for joining us today. Paul Calce is the founder and president of DigiPoint Media. They are located in Dallas, Texas, and we've invited Paul today to discuss the company's Icebox network and how it works for the ice industry. It is the coolest digital out of home network located mainly in grocery and liquor stores. And working with Ready Ice, the Icebox Network turns your ice merchandiser into a must see digital display. So, Paul, let's zoom out for a moment and talk about the overall vision of DigiPoint Media.
absolutely. So DigiPoint Media, what we are intending to build and will be building is a connected digital out of home network that spans coast to coast. We have a heavy focus on placing these displays into the retail environment. Interestingly enough, where 85% of buying decisions are still made. So that is what we're all about, and that's what we intend to do. Obviously, one of the keystones of this is the Icebox Network.
Okay. So let's dig in a little bit to the different options you have before we go straight down the rabbit hole with ice boxes in particular. So for everyone watching, you can see that they've got displays that go on fountain drink machines. They've got some that go on windows, so that's like a storefront window, and even on glass doors. Okay. And in the shelves. So all kinds of different options there.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't seen the products here where we're at locally, but some of these things are extremely cool. So I'm kind of geeking out a little bit on the technology, and so would love to dive into this. So Jeff, was there another question that you had as a follow up?
Well, I was going to ask, which one was the first product out of that whole portfolio that we just talked about that you started with?
Interestingly enough, it was the doors. And so we had licensed a transparent LCD technology where we could actually sandwich an LCD crystal in between two pieces of glass and then build a door around it. And then you could mount that door, retrofit that door onto a cooler, a merchandiser, or what have you. Um, One of the challenges there was that it adds a significant amount of weight to the doors. So when you have the hinges, you've got to pass the slam test. Obviously, they have to hold up for a long time. Cord management, because you have to feed the data to actually populate the screen. Um, it was There were going to be some engineering challenges for widespread adoption. Plus, it's a fairly expensive technology. So I started working with Lear, obviously the merchandiser manufacturer, and we were taking a look at, okay, can we do these transparent LCD doors on the merchandisers, when I realized that all of the merchandisers have flat tops. So why go through the challenge of trying to engineer a brand new door when we can very easily put a screen right on top of the merchandiser and accomplish the exact same thing? And
Sure.
so that is where, through Lear, that's how we then got connections into Ready Ice. And then that was the launch or the beginning of the Icebox Network.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go ahead and show this video if you don't mind. One of the things that we've got here, I want to go ahead and just kind of show this. We can talk to this. Now, this is obviously from the fountain drink, but I
Mhm.
mean, some of the same premise, right? That you have it up here right above it. So Um, I wanted to kind of go. A question that I had is you were talking about the semi-transparent side of things, right? So, uh, being able to do that kind of technology, what does it take, or what was the lift of being able to do something like that for the semi-transparent nature of it all?
Um, the to make an LCD transparent, they're not. When the screen is showing white, then that's what makes it semi-transparent. But when it actually has a video or content playing that has a color to it, then it's opaque.
Okay, so
Okay.
that makes sense.
And I think at least on one of the displays, you said it's like 85% transparent when it's
Well,
transparent. Is that right?
that's correct. That's our new view poster. So, taking a step back, if you take a look at a retail environment, right, there's the path to purchase. People come in, they're pull into the parking lot, they're at a gas pump at a C store or what have you. The first thing that they see is the outside of the store.
Hmm.
Then, after they go in through the doors, now where's their journey going to take them? It's going to go into uh, maybe there's a specific section. There's the coolers, the freezers. They're going in for milk. They're walking down the dry goods aisle, or if you're in a Lowe's or a Home Depot, you're going to find tools, what have you. So all of that is the path to purchase. And so one of the things we realized as well, um, the front of the store is extremely valuable real estate for the retailers because that's what everybody sees. Um, the typical way, well, the way people are doing it now is, and I'm sure you've seen this, they print a lot of posters that go in the windows. There could be one, two, up to five or six posters that uh, ring the stores. There is a display that can be used to supplant those posters, and that's a high bright LCD. So that's an LCD like your TV that you have hanging on your wall, but it runs at 2500 nit. Nit is a measure of brightness, and 2500 nit is what you need to be able to see or to be visible in direct sunlight. Obviously, if you're the front of the store, you got
Right.
to be bright enough to pull that off. The challenge with hybrid LCDs is that those a 55-inch display weighs upwards of 80 pounds.
Oof.
So these are big, they're bulky. To mount them, you have to have either brackets that are coming from the ceiling or a stanchion that's bolted into the concrete of the floor. They also run extremely hot, so they have to be 6 inches back from the glass. Otherwise, they generate so much heat, the actual LCD crystal can crack. It's called going
Oh, wow.
isotropic.
Oh
So
man.
we developed an LED poster that solves all of those problems. The New View poster weighs 13 pounds, so it's light enough that we can actually hang it right from the mullions. It's LED, so it runs cooler. So we only need a 1/4 inch air gap between the front of the poster and the window. And then because it's 85% transparent, we're not blocking the window at all. So there are a huge number of advantages. And then also the brightness, our posters can go up to 4000 nit, which we would
That's
never run them that bright, but you could put it out in the parking lot in Dallas, Texas in August at noon, and you'd see it
and, it,
just fine.
and it'll look just beautiful.
well, and
That's
you were
really
talking
cool.
about
Exactly.
it's a normal TV that sits in your house. Would that be? Correct me if I'm wrong. Would that be in the around 1,000 nits or maybe something of that nature?
Actually, yeah, the standard, like a residential grade display, is probably going to be about 400 nits.
400. Okay.
Mm.
Yep. Commercial grade displays, like the displays that we have on top of the ice merchandisers, are 700 nit. So they are significantly brighter. So if there was our display sitting next to just a TV you went and got at a Best Buy, our display is significantly brighter. Now, 700 nits is still not bright enough to compete with the sun. So that's why, for those types of applications, you have to go to a different technology. Um, Sun turns out it's really bright, and it always wins that battle. So you
Yeah,
have to be able to overcome that.
I know like the outdoor TVs, and there's several manufacturers of that, but typically you can take the same size TV, and if you want to make it to where it can go outside and be in full sun or partial sun, you're looking at 2 to 4 times the cost of that TV, and sometimes even more, for a full sun. So to be able to get to that brightness of what you're talking about, and then just how much heavier they are. So I wanted to go back. We had something cycling just a second ago, but I want to make sure people fully understand what we're witnessing here as far as the outside on the left and the inside. I'm going to play this, but we talked to that to make sure people understand what the split screen here, that they're it's a split screen of what you're witnessing here. So with that being, on the outside, that would be if you're looking here, but then, on the right-hand side, if you're, inside the store, you're seeing what it is, and that's why it's playing. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep, that's exactly right. And so a big advantage there is if you're a retailer, you want to be able to see through. If you're a
Right.
bank, you want to know who's coming into your bank. If
Yep.
you're a convenience store, this now allows you to place a display flanking the front door, and you don't have any issues with OSHA regulations in regards to being able to see in or see out. There are a few states where at gas stations, New Jersey in particular, you have to have a transparent um, print of some kind, or you can't put a poster in the windows because you have to be able to see from the inside out to the gas pumps.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. And, I've always said gas stations, I don't know which came first, the NASCAR, the way, they put everything on the side, but, you pull up to the gas station, it just looks like a NASCAR, right? It just doesn't have wheels on it. But that does make
Well,
sense. I never thought about the rules against
there's a
that.
reason. There's a reason for that, and this is why digital out of home is so important. So, again, as I said earlier, 85% of buying decisions are still made in the stores, and the the store itself is the last chance that a brand or a retailer has to speak to the consumer before they make a buying decision. So, by being able to put that messaging there, you're hitting the consumer, as we like to say, the right time, the right place with the right message.
Right.
The challenge with static is you print something and you post it up for 4 weeks or 6 weeks. It's the same message, it's the same price. You can't dynamically do the messaging. So if you have 100 stores, you're going to have different demographics that you're focusing. You may be in a Hispanic area where you need to use Hispanic copy. You may be in another area where you may have a higher price point. Well, with printed collateral, it's very difficult to customize that messaging. With digital, you now have the ability to do that. So at those 100 stores with digital, you could theoretically have 100 different price points, different messages,
Wow.
whatever, and be able to target it all out and be able to update that content in almost real time because all of our displays are connected via cellular network.
Well, it was
Great.
going to be a question that we had, so we were curious how it got updated. I assume you didn't have, somebody running around with a thumb drive, plugging into these
Well,
units. So,
that's how it used to be, and
okay.
Wow.
yeah, you think about obviously we're all old enough back when we had cell plans where not only would you have to buy minutes, you would have to buy a number of text messages. You remember that?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
So as the cellular technology developed, as they added more towers, more coverage, as cellular became more ubiquitous, well, now you have the ability to connect in. And that is really what's going to help drive the expansion and adoption of digital signage. Because you're exactly right. If you have to run around with a USB thumb drive or somebody with a laptop and do manual updates, well, just
It's
put up a
just
new
not.
poster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
When you're talking, go ahead, Jeff, please.
So I was going to say we're going to switch back and forth from talking specifically about the Icebox displays and the overall business. I wanted to ask, how many ads are you placing on a given display? Like we saw the fountain drinks, we saw the posters. What are you typically doing in like 1 minute cycles or 15-second cycles, or what's normal?
We're on what's called a loop, and our loop is 150 seconds, so it's 2.5 minutes. So within that loop, we can cycle through anywhere from 10 to 15 ad spots, depending on the length. There are more 30-second ad spots, then there's fewer in the loop. Um, so it's the number of ads can be arbitrary. It's predicated upon what can fit within that advertising loop as an overall.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that makes good sense. When you're walking up to the store, like you were talking about, if you got just fixed posters, but then you have something that captures your eye, with the video. I mean, it's going to draw you in a lot faster, I would say. So I kind of want to lead into a icebreaker that we have for you. And the old adage is, if a picture is worth 1,000, or a picture is worth 1,000 words, how many words is a video worth? What would you say, of what you're being able to do there? How do you quantify that?
Uh, Video is always going to be more impactful and more effective because motion grabs people's attention,
Hmm.
right? There's already a lot of static messaging and it tends to become white noise in the background. Video or motion, it doesn't necessarily have to be a full video, like a Red Bull commercial or something like that. Just by having fly-ins, by having, some highlighting effect or a price that drops down, those types of motion activated attention grabbers are really what's important. And that's what causes people to look. I don't
Yeah,
know if kids, I know, but I do. Um, they're so used to being on technology that, especially for the younger demographics, motion is going to be critical because they've grown up with it. They've been on iPads where they are swiping or scrolling and they're watching videos.
Right.
Addicts not really that prevalent there for them anymore. For us older people, yeah, obviously we're still used to it, but as the younger demographic is coming up, video is going to become even more critical to getting messaging that is actually seen and received.
what I've seen at gas stations, and that makes, I completely agree with you. Prior to seeing, your product and what you're able to do, I pulled up to some of the gas stations that would have, at the gas pump, right? They would have the small little screen. They would use that screen, or they would, everybody's used to the tap to pay to just show you what you're pumping, everything. But people, and I forget which type of gas station, really doesn't matter, but they put those little more color, and then but the sound is so loud, it's
Oh yeah.
almost intrusive. It's like it's so annoying, and they're screaming at you, right? But it's a fairly small, but they're trying to get that advertising. A lot of times it's like, hey, you come in and for extra quarter you get a cup of coffee with a fill up or something like
Right.
that, or
Right.
Mhm.
or buy two Coca-Colas for the price of one. But I mean, this is akin to what you're talking about, but as you're walking into it, so into the convenience store, or you're picking up whatever goods you're thinking about doing, that you're able to grab them at that last moment of walking in. So, where did this inspiration come from? I mean, I know you started, right before COVID, but was there something that leading up to it? Because most business ideas aren't sprung and you start that day one. Has this been something you've been thinking about for how long?
For years. Prior to launching DigiPoint, I was with a company called Metro Media Technologies, and we did a lot of grand format printing and a lot of experiential, which are advertising programs that pretty much what they sound like. They're at an event or at the Super Bowl or something like that. I was doing a lot of digital signage work. Um, I did a lot of digital signage actually for Anheuser-Busch at a lot of the stadiums and arenas around the country. So I started working with that more, started getting those questions more as well from whether it was brands, advertising agencies, people like that. They're like, okay, we've done as much as we can with static. We need motion. We need video. What is out there? What can we do? Um, every time those questions would come up and we'd work out a program. Okay, well, here's what you could do for advertiser X, and this is what it will cost. And
Yeah.
every time the answer came back the same, that is really cool. We love it. No way the client can afford that. every
Yep.
single time, because the clients, when you're a brand, you typically don't spend, or you can't allocate your media dollars to buy equipment, right? This is
Yeah.
why you think of Coca-Cola, they do a lot of billboards on the sides of highways, but they don't own billboards
Right.
Right.
because it's more efficient for them to come through their media spend to purchase that time. And so that's where the light bulb kind of went off for me. It's like, you know what? This this makes a lot of sense. And there seems like there's demand for these types of displays inside retail environments, but the brands aren't going to do it because they can't spend their money that way to buy the equipment. And the retailers, well, they they don't do digital signage networks. They are a grocery store. They're a
Right.
convenience store. They, this is not their strong suit. And so being that third party bridge seemed
Right.
to make sense. And so that's where the idea germinated, and that's what developed into DigiPoint, the Icebox Network, the New View Poster, and all of it.
So I think you're kind of leading to answer a question that I had was, how does it work for an ice company if they wanted to sign up with the Icebox Network? As far as the equipment, you handle all of that. You handle the actual ads that are getting displayed, correct?
That is
Um,
correct.
is it a partnership deal where if they have certain brands that they were working with already, they might bring them to you and add that to the conversation, or how does that work?
Yeah, we would be happy to talk to all of the ice companies, because everyone's going to have their own unique placement, their own unique area, with designated market area, or DMA. Right. This is how media companies assign or attribute the different Dallas, Fort Worth, New York, LA, the different cities and markets around the country. Um, so what we would do is we would talk to the ice company. We would find out, where are they? What area are they located in? What are some of the retailers in which they are? They have their merchandisers. Are their merchandisers inside or outside? We
Hmm.
have an outdoor solution, but it's a little trickier than indoor, because as soon as you go outside the building's footprint, now you have potential permit issues. Do municipalities allow that? Can you do video? Can you have an illuminated sign at night? Some municipalities don't allow that. So indoor is where our focus has been, because being inside that store, we don't have any of those restrictions. So it's much easier that way. And then the program is, we provide the display, we provide the media player, which runs the content management system, which is what allows us to route and provision the messaging on the displays, the cellular modem, which gives us our own data pipe to connect to the screens, and we
Hmm.
operate all of that. So what this is this becomes, for the ice companies, really a profit center, because they are able to participate in the ad revenue that we generate with no capex or no expense on their part.
Right.
All we need from them is to work with us, so that way we can place these into the retailers in which their merchandisers are. It's a merchandiser upgrade. The other thing that they get is they can advertise and place their own messaging on the display to talk about, get your ice here, don't forget the ice, their price points, what have you. They get time on that display. So
Oh,
it's all
that's
benefit
cool.
and upside for the ice company, with very almost no risk.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's advertising other things, it's getting people's attention over to their product. It's
That's
oh, it's
exactly
right
right.
there. Oh, I guess I probably could use a bag of ice.
Right.
So
Right.
and direct your attention to wherever it's at. So one thing, Jeff, let's go back over to their website and talk about the Icebox network and the website and everything. One of the things that you have here, you talk about your locations. We've noticed that there was a rollout plan that you have, because one of the things we were kind of curious about, geography limitations, but with being able to do the IoT and be able to, most all these places have decent enough internet connection that you should be able to distribute your product out. Is there what type of plan do you have in place? Again, we're showing it on the website, or showing it on the website at the moment, but talk to that if you don't mind.
Yeah. So we are looking to roll out across the entire country. And our first target goal is to have an additional 1,000 units deployed by the end of the year. That'll primarily be across the southern tier, really stretching from California over to the Carolinas. Then we're going to look to add an additional at least 1,000 by the middle of next year. And then obviously, if we can go bigger than that, we would. Our target goal is to get 8 to 10,000 units out. At that point, we should pretty much have the entire country very well covered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds sounds aggressive. Sounds good. So it sounds like you're wanting to get after it fairly quick. So we'll put some information down in the description. You know how you can reach out to Paul to inquire more about this. I
Yeah,
know.
we'll put links to DigiPoint and the
Absolutely.
Icebox Network so you can see what we're seeing on screen or what we're showing on screen right now, and of course, reach out to Paul when you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Jeff. He's already hit you up some about the IPIA that's going to be in Nashville this coming November. So hopefully, I get opportunity. It's a good collection of people that obviously take the industry very, very seriously. People from around the world and United States, coming in. So I think it would be a good collection for you to, if you have an opportunity to be able to attend.
Yep, absolutely.
So, one of the questions I had for you is if we're looking at an icebox, I have some ideas, but I'm wondering what are the top brands, or maybe not specific brands, but categories that would want to advertise and see the biggest payoff advertising right over the icebox?
The low hanging fruit are going to be a lot on the beverage side. So obviously, there's a big connection with beer, uh, with, with beer and ice. There's always every beer commercial you see, you've got, whether they're Budweiser or Corona or Miller Lite, they're going into a cooler with ice. Uh,
Right.
and so that's obviously one. But the CPG brands in general are always going to be a prime target. Um, Chips, um, uh, Coca-Cola, energy drinks, all of that. But the very unique thing about the Icebox network is because we are not right on a shelf where there's a specific product, right? So we're not on at the cereal shelf where at that point you're really pretty much looking at cereal and milk as your two options,
Right.
right? This broadens the scope of what would make an effective advertiser. There are some ancillary products to think about with coolers, like cooler manufacturers, like an Igloo,
Sure.
a Yeti, people like that. Also, lifestyle brands, because why are people buying ice, right? They're buying it because, well, they're having a party or they're going to the beach, they're going to the lake, going out to have
Right.
fun. And so there are a number of brands that make sense that tie in well with why people are buying ice.
So it might make sense in some places to do suntan lotion or all kinds of bug spray or things that have to do with baseball or fishing or all
Ex-
kinds of
ex-
different.
ex- Exactly. So you're not pigeonholed to just, hey, if it's not a beer brand, then it doesn't work. It widens the scope. The other unique thing, and this is why I really love the ice merchandisers, is the placement in stores is always very prominent. So advertising is all about the number of eyeballs that are seeing the ads, right? It's
Mhm.
measured what's called a CPM or a cost per thousand, and the number of impressions that the ad generates. Ice merchandisers are always in prominent locations in the store, no matter what store it is. It could be a Lowe's or Home Depot, it could be a grocery store, it could be a convenience store. They always have visibility, which means they generate a lot of impressions. And that's what the brands want to see as well. Because yes, they're looking for moving more product, but there's more to advertising than just you saw an ad, you bought a candy bar. It
Right.
is brand reinforcement. It's making people aware of a new product, right?
Mhm.
It's it's a messaging vehicle. And so by having that prominent placement, that prominent location, it makes the advertising that much more effective.
Yeah, so let's talk about the website and the measurements. You guys have a facial analytic kind of graph and
Hmm.
things. We have a chart here that we were going to show, and yeah. So give me just a second so we can get you over there. So I have to have Jeff out for a
There we
second.
go.
So talk to us about that, the impression, and help the
Uh,
layperson be able to understand
yeah,
this
as a
data.
geek, I really found this fascinating that you can measure all these things. So tell us about
Yep. So this is where we can, and this is facial detection and facial recognition. Let me take a step back and talk about that. You need a camera, obviously, and what this does is it measures the face, it measures eyeballs. And there's a difference between detection and recognition. Facial recognition is what you're dealing with when you're walking through an airport, right? And it's actually taking a measurement of your face and saying, this is Paul, this is Jeff, this is Ethan. That's identifying the individual. Facial detection is anonymized. What that's doing is it's taking a look and it's studying the facial structure and it's saying, first off, is it a male or female? Is um, what's the age range? Is this a between 18 and 25, 26 to 30, all of that? You can actually tell that from the facial structure. You can tell how long somebody was actually looking at the display because it measures the eyeballs focusing on the display. So all of that granular data is invaluable for marketers because it lets them know, did the creative work? Was the advertising effective? How many people were watching it? Who was watching it when? You might find out things that, this demographic, for whatever reason, was watching this messaging on Tuesdays between noon and 3, right?
Yeah.
Now, who knows
it.
why, but those things happen. And so that's where those analytics can become extremely powerful. Now, the challenge that we have is because the privacy laws have not really been codified universally across the country, a lot of retailers are still very worried about deploying cameras into their stores just because of the privacy issues. So, this is something that we can do, but that one is definitely dependent on the retailer and if the retailer's okay with it or not. There are other ways we can gather data. We can put sensors down, and these sensors detect the Wi-Fi signals that are coming off cell phones. So now you can track the number of people that are walking past.
Hmm.
Um, you can start to generate, if you put enough sensors out in the store, you can generate heat maps of people actually traveling through the store, so you can see the path that they're taking. Retailers are interested in that because it can help them optimize their store layout. So on the technology side, you can go a lot deeper than just delivering messaging.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty incredible, like just the idea that one of the things on that chart said emotional reaction to the content.
Mhm.
Like y you can't get that with a poster, you know?
No, no,
Um,
you can't. You can't. Did it make them smile? Did it
right,
make is it did it make them act in disgust?
right,
Was it engaging? All of that. The face really tells the story.
right.
Yeah, it's almost some straight up CIA stuff. It seems like so.
But and that right there, by the way, that's where the privacy issues, and that's what
Right.
really starts to worry the retailers. And it can be scary. But again, it's scary if you're directly identifying the individual. If
Sure.
it's just anonymized, all you know it was person A, person B. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I don't know who that was. I just know this is the reaction. This
right.
is, the demographic. This is how long they watched it. That's all. But I don't know that, Jim or Joe or Ann or whoever actually were the ones standing right there.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. What you guys are trying to do or from this to be able to get the impressions. But as you know, in our today or in today's society, everybody, you're concerned about your privacy until somebody says, hey, if I got, this is my mobile phone, but I don't care what you do with it, I got to use my mobile phone. So and there's so many things going on with it that we're
Yeah,
being taken and people can track what you're doing with your phone, and it's listening all the time. And I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I know there's enough times that I talk about, we're talking about internet of IoT things today, and I guarantee I'll have an ad come up
Yeah.
about something that comes up, and I haven't touched my phone during the entire interview today, and things like that occur. That it can be scary out there for people and their privacy and everything, but I guarantee there's surveillance systems all around already monitoring what's going on the premise anyway. Correct? I mean,
We
so
all, well, you've already said it. We carry these around in our pocket right now.
right.
Yeah.
That our phone is effectively a surveillance device. If you have an Amazon Alexa or Nest inside your house, you've just put that in, so it's already there. Um, where and when it ties back to advertising, there is some very interesting things that companies are developing, especially in conjunction with AI, where they can now um, generate ads based on who's standing in front of the screen.
Right.
So
Right.
if you were to be in front of a screen right now and it had technology like this deployed, it could populate an ad tailored to you. Think about if you've seen Minority Report with
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
Tom
There's that
Hmm.
one scene where he walks into the mall and it scans his eye, and then all of a sudden an ad for a new suit pops up on the wall. That's the way technology can move, and AI is actually will allow that to happen. I don't know that it's ready for prime time for actually being out in the market yet. Um, but yeah, this is the direction a lot of that is going to. Well, I'll say
Well,
it that way. Whether it will or not, we'll see.
well, and the thing is, on one hand, you might feel a little bit nervous about that or queasy, but the truth is, I don't need to watch ads about diapers. That's just not part of my universe right now. So if you can show me an ad that actually appeals to me, I I don't like commercials, but I would prefer to watch something about a pickup truck
Well,
or
if you
something,
walk up and you're wearing a cowboy shirt and it recognizes that, and it says, "Hey, come in and grab the cowboy tumbler," you got the logo here, or the Jimmy Johnson bobblehead, that we got here that's retro. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, right before we got on, Paul, you and I were talking about with you being in Dallas and talking about Cowboys and the new Netflix series that's out. And just being able to kind of tie it into the things that you care about is my point, right? So it goes to what Jeff's talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, we'd like to kind of shift over and talk a little bit more personal for a minute. Paul, we've got some family photos. We were going to just get you to kind of talk through these, introduce us to your family and friends.
Sure, absolutely. Well, that's my wife, Laura Lee, my son Michael, and my daughter Rose. Um, Interestingly enough, that picture was taken. So I've got married to my wife twice now. So
Oh,
we got
okay.
we got married the first time back in 2007. So we're going on 18 years now. And then last year, I was raised Catholic. My wife converted to Catholicism, and so we got married a second time last year.
Oh, wow.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It wasn't all the fun could be had in the first time. You had to go back for the second
Exactly.
time, gotcha.
Exactly. Although I did tell her I'm only going to remember one anniversary date. I can't. I just can't do two.
Well,
So,
I'm in the throes right now. My oldest is planning for a wedding. Jeff
yep,
also has a
yep.
wedding for his oldest as
We're
well, and
we're at like T minus 1 year for us.
yeah, and they're both girls, so the onus is on us. So maybe we need to start advertising for this so we could try to pay for the weddings.
Well, there you go.
We
Yeah,
need
And
BTI on the Digipoint Media.
that's right.
do your daughters want big weddings? Do they want to do small weddings? What are they looking to do?
Well, I'm steering financially to the smaller side, so we'll see how that works. I tried to set the budget for the first one, and that burst. So we're still working on it. It'll be a medium size, I would say. So it's definitely not gonna. Yeah, it's crazy the amount weddings cost. So
Yeah, yep, for
It's
sure.
something else.
All right.
Yeah, there we are. Yep, there's it's us down in San Antonio. So doing the whole Texas tour, of course. Um, yeah,
How old are your kids now?
my son just turned 13, and my daughter will be 10 in
Okay.
December.
All right. Very good.
All right.
So that was fishing last year down in South Carolina. That's actually my brother, Matt. Um, that was right around was that New Year's Day we were fishing? It was either New Year's Day or the day after that
Okay.
fishing, and we are going for redfish down in South
Mhm.
Carolina. So
Nice.
yeah, so there's a blast from the past. So in college, I played rugby, and then when I moved to Dallas, I played for the Dallas Harlequins, and
Oh,
then
very cool.
yeah, so I played with them for about 5 years until I kind of came to the realization that when you have a meeting on a Monday morning and you go in with a blackout, um, people tend to have a lot of questions like, "What were you doing this weekend? Did you get in a bar
Hmm.
fight?"
Was
Like,
this during
no,
the Fight Club when it came out with Edward Norton and
no,
Brad Pitt?
this was after. This was after. This was the early 2000s. Um, but yeah, it was a great time. But yeah, kind of. I can see how athletes, like if they're in the NFL at 30, they're kind of like, yeah, we're going to start hanging it up now.
Yeah.
You just can't
Well,
take the wear and tear, and
I
you kind
do.
of
I
have to.
do have a question here. So it looks like you guys are fairly jovial. I don't know if this was before, but it's after. I assume 57-7. You guys were on the winning side. I saw it on the.
No, we actually, we lost that game.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
got
wow.
you.
Yeah, so we lost that match. The reason why we were happy, so that was a tournament that we played in down in Corpus Christi, and on a rugby pitch, you have 15 players on the field at one time, and generally you want to have reserves for people to come in and off. Well, we only had 15 when we went down to play this match. One
Oof.
of the players
Oh,
actually pulled his hamstring and got hurt, so we had to play a man down almost the entire time.
uh,
So we're actually just really proud that we were able to pull it off with a shorthanded team. So
Sure.
and let me
if
tell you,
anybody
this guy
would
right
have been,
here, I would not want to tackle this man right here. That is a that man's got some. Yes, I would not want to tackle that man. So, I don't know a lot about rugby. I mean, just obviously I understand some of the premise and everything, but what position did you play?
I played prop. So think of that as a lineman. Um,
Okay.
there are there are in rugby there are forwards and there are backs. So the forwards would be the linemen, tight ends, linebackers. If you want to translate it into football,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
backs would be the wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterback, the defensive backs, people like that.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you for giving me a little bit of intel. So let's get to the main figures here. So
Oh, of course, yeah. So that's Ranger. Ranger is a Saint Bernard poodle. He was a COVID dog. So I'm sure, like
Okay.
probably most everybody else in the country, uh,
I got one of
was
those. Yeah.
outside. It's you need a dog.
Handsome
And
Bernedoodle there. Yeah.
And then that right there is the latest addition to the family. Since we have a 90-pound gigantic mutt now, we figured we had to balance it off with a Yorkie. And so that's Oreo, and that's a 6.9 pound, the other end of the dog scale, if you will.
Yeah. All right. Very cool.
Awesome. Well, since we're talking about some personal stuff, I mean, your hobbies, interests, we saw you fishing, rugby, but, obviously retired from rugby, sounds like. So, what are some of the other things that interest you when you're not trying to, put signs in doors and windows?
Well, imagine like a lot of people, golf, of course. I first started playing golf when I was in, probably just right in college, and then been a casual golfer ever since. I've been playing that for a while. And then I was trying to get some photos over, but for whatever reason, I don't know, they weren't the right format, but sailing also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah. Um,
we were going to ask you about that as well. Ethan will
Yeah, no, I'll
pull
tell you
them
what.
up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull that up. It was actually an icebreaker that we had. We're going to bring it up because these boats, I'll tell you, I like larger boats than what you're showing here, especially on this body of water. But tell us about sailing.
So it was just something that I'd always wanted to learn and get into. And then probably 10, 15 years ago, I went out we have a number of lakes. Interestingly, and fun fact about Texas, there's only one natural lake. It's Caddo Lake. All of the rest of the lakes in Texas are reservoirs, so they're all man-made. Um, but at most of the lakes, there are sailing clubs. Obviously, there's boating clubs and things like that. So I went out and took sailing lessons. Really enjoyed the entire experience, and then got connected with a couple people that had boats out there. Started sailing with them as a regular crew, and then we eventually bought a boat, which was the one in the previous picture. It's called a Melgus 24, which is just a sail. It's a racing boat, and so um, that is not a pleasure cruise or anything like that. It's
Right.
we're out actually doing regattas, but that was a very fun boat. And so that's actually me at the helm at the back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting and challenging. It's a lot of work too. You don't realize.
It looks like it. I'll tell you, it looks like it.
He
I
doesn't
mean,
pick only easy sports. I mean, you got the golfing in there, but rugby and sailing, I mean, that's pretty challenging.
yeah. Have you ever capsized?
Not capsized, but we've what's called broached. Actually, I gotta find some pictures. We have a good picture when we first got the Melgus. It's a very powerful boat, and so in strong wind, if you get out of shape with the way the wind is hitting and the way your sails are deployed, you can actually lay it over on its side. Now, because it's a keel boat, it will pop back up once you get the load off the sails. But yes, we have broached.
Okay.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, we're
it's exciting.
almost. Yeah, yeah. It seems exciting. Like you, you were talking about hobbies or getting a dog during COVID. One of the things I grew up around boats, but it was bass boats my entire life, and but I enjoyed getting out on the water, but not the way that my father wanted to, because all he wanted to do was fish, 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 fish. I just wanted to leisure, leisure, leisure. That's something that I've tried to get into boating, but I prefer the motorized kind. So, but I probably would enjoy some sailing. But the lakes that we have, they're so you'd have to go out. You can't go on the weekends. There's too many motorized boats and things like that. So I don't know if you run into the same problem there in Dallas or in Texas area.
We do some of the lakes. The lake that we typically sail on, Lake Ray Hubbard, tends to be, I'll say, less occupied
Hmm.
by motorboats. But they're out there, but it's not as busy. Another lake, Louisville, you have a lot of power boaters out there, and
Yeah.
so it tends to be. I don't want to say crowded because the lakes are pretty big; they're sizable.
Right.
But you have to find the right lake in
Yeah.
the right areas. So
Well,
Yeah.
especially if you get out there and the people with wake boats and they're wake surfing, those things can be pushing, 3, 4, 5 foot waves
Mm.
that push out pretty far. So I doubt you want to, I don't think that boat that you showed is made for jumping. So, uh,
no, not really.
yeah.
But
So
actually, mhm. Go ahead.
go no, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say when you talk about the wakes, that boat, one of the things that made that boat so exciting is it could actually do what's called plane. So it would get going fast enough that the bow could actually come up out of the water.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
so,
okay.
it's a 24-foot long boat, but we've done 20 knots in that boat,
It
Jeez.
almost turned it into a
which,
hydrofoil.
well, not not quite that fast, but yes, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, we are nearing the end of the podcast. It's kind of crazy, Jeff and I've been doing this for quite some time, and we have a clock, and every now and then I'll peek up, and then I'm like, wow. We've been
Yep.
going for almost 50 minutes. So,
Yep.
but it's been great to have you on, Paul. So we do have a couple questions that we'd like to ask, all of our guests, and one of those would be, what advice would you have, for? And I know you're in the marketing side, so I assume it'll be geared to that, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. But what you've seen for the ice industry. What do you have any advice for those folks out there?
Well, very brilliant piece of advice. Call me. I would love to talk to you because we can absolutely help you, generate extra money from your merchandisers by rolling out the Icebox Network, upgrading your merchandisers with these displays. I see overall for the ice industry, one of the trends that I've seen is more people are cooking at home, more people are doing events at home. And I think that's actually a very good thing for the ice industry because this is maybe it's less going out to restaurants and it's more having backyard barbecues or having parties or events. And they're going to obviously need ice for that. And obviously the supplies that go along with it. So running to the grocery store, the convenience store to pick up those things. So I think the ice industry is really going to grow because of the trends of how people are behaving, just in the U.S. as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's very timely and wise advice for folks to consider. I think for ice companies that we work with, I mean, the chance to make a revenue share off of something that you're already investing your capital into putting a merchandiser in somebody's store. If you have that opportunity, I think it's a fantastic thing to consider. Paul, we wanted to ask you one more icebreaker question here at the end. Who has been the biggest influence in your life or your work? If you're thinking about the impact on your life, who in your life has had the biggest influence on you?
I think it'd have to be my parents. They taught me, and well, I'm one of five. So I have two older brothers, two younger sisters. We're a big family, but they taught us to be independent and also the value of work. My first job at 15, I worked at an animal hospital as what was known as a kennel boy. I basically cleaned up after sick dogs and cats.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that was about as pleasant and fun job as you could imagine, but it was a necessary job. Um, but I've been working ever since, and they've really instilled in that if you want something, you can get it, but you're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to earn it. You're not going to be
Yeah.
successful all the time, but you got to just keep going, keep your head down, keep digging in. Um, and I learned that from my parents. So that obviously is just in life in general, but then obviously when that translates into business, it's equally as important because you just cannot stop. You have to keep moving forward and you have to keep trying.
Yeah.
Well, just to wrap up, and my 2 cents on that, I'm very much into athletics, and the what you've chosen, to do your athletics with on rugby and tough things, right? I mean, it's just it's character building things that you have, and I think what you put into the effort and the toughness that you have to play rugby and things like that is it can only transcend into what you're going to do in your professional life. So, Paul, it's been a pleasure to be able to talk with you. This is most of the time we are interviewing ice men and women in the field. And this is the first time we've really been able to dip out. I mean, we've talked to some other people about social media and some marketing on that side of it. But it's been a pleasure to be able to have you. I hope this has been a beneficial to the audience as well. We've been coming to you from the RouteMan Studios from KCS headquarters here in Pelham, Alabama. And we are so appreciative again for you taking some time and telling us about what you do and how you could help this industry. So again, Paul, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, and I appreciate talking to you. Have a great day.
You too.